just a second. Let me adjust this that way it's not in the way. All right. Thank you for joining this session today. And I'll be talking about upgrading from, your older version of BO to the latest version that is available, which is 4.3. And basically, the main idea of this session is to answer these questions. What should I know? Is there anything that's going away? What's the best way to upgrade? What is no longer available? Is there anything brand new that I should, look into specifically? Is anything changing from licensing perspective? And also we're including just a tiny bit piece about InfoBurst as well. How will that work with 4.3, and where can I get information about, all the other things related to 4.3, right? So let's get started. Right, so for upgrading to 4.3, in-place upgrade is an option. So that's not an issue at all, which basically means if your underlying platform or your servers are compatible, to be upgraded to 4.3, then by all means, you can do an in-place upgrade. And in later slides, I'll talk about which options, if you do an in-place upgrade, what gets affected and impacted versus doing a brand new installation. So as always, I'm providing the PAM guide. Why? Because it gives you all the options that you need to know about what is compatible with the version that you have, especially if you want to go in-place upgrade. If you're on the older version of Windows or Linux and 4.3 doesn't support it, then maybe you don't have a choice. You have to go with the newer version of the platform. So I'm guide, providing the URL to you. If you guys have not seen the PAM guide, it's called Product Availability Matrix Guide. Basically, it's a guide that tells you everything that is compatible with a specific version of business objects. So which operating system is supported, which browser is supported, what databases are supported. Definitely leverage the PAM guide. That will answer majority of your questions. For upgrading, doing an in-place upgrade, SAP provides now this new one installers. Basically, they take you to the latest and greatest version, which means you don't have to do a base install of 4.3 and then apply a specific service pack or patch. It takes you right.
Hey, Manus.
Yes.
Your sound is cutting in and out a little bit. Maybe try shutting off your video and see if you get better bandwidth.
Let me see. Does it make any difference now?
So far, but I will let you know if it continues to be an issue.
Okay. Yeah, let me know. Maybe I can switch my headphones or do something different.
Right, and if it does, also just not using your video sometimes helps some people.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So basically, in-place upgrade, possible. The biggest thing you need to know is, yes, you will need brand new keys, license keys for it. So even if you're using Crystal client, you will need new keys. So anything with 4.3, new keys. So just keep that in mind. What's new in 4.3? This is just a bit of information that helps us prepare for upgrade. What is no longer available? What is now available? What is new? So that when we plan our upgrade, we can plan things accordingly. Dashboards, as we all know, anything that was based on Flash is no longer available. Dashboard, Explorer, those are gone basically. No more regular Webby Launchpad. Ever since SP 4.2 SP5, SAP had provided us a glimpse of the Fiori interface of Webby. Now in 4.3, it's a complete version. If time permits, I can quickly show it to you end of this presentation. But you will be getting a brand new UI only for Webby. CMC stays the same. We'll actually be logging into CMC to look at it. You can use Theme Designer that was introduced in SP7 to customize your Fiori UI. You can add your company logos and everything. So customization of the new Fiori UI is very simple and easy. Few things that were not available in the new release of 4.3. The latest release available as of today is 4.3 SP1 patch 4. And that one has quite a bit of new features or missing features available in it. So that's that. You will need new license key. Obviously, Crystal reports are changing to 2020. So if you are a Crystal shop, keep that in mind. All your Crystal reports will now need to be used with this new client. And yes, it will require a new key. So, in my slides, I'm providing the KBA articles that you will need and point you straight to those SAP notes to get you direct information. So how do you get the new license key, and how to request new license key for Crystal reports? These are the KBAs, so you can use them. Um, you know, we talked about this just now. Explorer is gone, dashboard is gone, BI widget is gone. Query as a web service designer is kind of gone because it is available through RESTful API. So, custom way you can keep your class queries going behind the scene. BI Launchpad again, completely revamped. If you had SAP Jam or the collaboration interface, completely gone. So, just make a note of those. And if you use, very few people use this, but if you were using other ERPs such as JD Edward, Oracle, EBS, the authentication is not provided in the newer versions. Basically, you will be able to use the authentication, but there's no enhancements to it. It's in maintenance mode only. So just keep that in mind if you are using those ERP tools. If you do an Inplace update and you have all of these existing items that are going away or gone, basically, Excelsius, Desky, or Explorer contents, all of those contents, if you do not delete them ahead of time and you do an in-place update, these items become an agnostic item, basically. So in the eyes of the new software, they're not useful because they're not supported anymore. They do not exist anymore, basically. So SAP provides a bunch of scripts to remove anything related to Explorer, anything.
Evanis,
Yes.
your sound is still a little off. Maybe just shut your video off and see if it helps. Thank you. We'll see what happens.
All right. So, yes, if you do an in-place update and if you had any of these items that are no longer available in the new version, SAP is providing a brand new script, basically to get rid of those items. You have to do a cleanup of those items, basically because they're unnecessary. You don't want additional metadata generated and kept just lingering around in your system. So use these notes. What happens, what is the roadmap, basically very precise KBA articles to help you walk through what happens to Explorer after upgrading, what happens to dashboard. So straight from SAP, these notes will walk you, guide you through, and also provide you those scripts that I talked about, basically. Um, what about Webby? Webby has a lot of changes. I'm providing this URL. This is again a blog straight from SAP. And this blog basically lists everything that is new in web intelligence, what is changing, what you need to worry about, or what can you learn. So very good detailed blog. Again, in the slides, I'll provide these slides to Heather and she'll update them in our user group forums so that you can download those. And now we can jump into the CMC and take a look at a few things. But before I do that, let me show you something bonus, which is basically, I recently did an upgrade or installed BO 4.3, the latest version, which is the patch 4, SP1 patch 4. So I have all the screenshots. Basically, all that is to say is if you did installs and upgrades on your own, from selection perspective, there's not much of a difference, basically. So, there's nothing drastically new behind the scene that you have to worry about. There are no new crazy options or nothing that goes away with the new version. So, very assuring to know and see that everything is fine. Basically, everything is still the same. So,
Hey, Vanessa. You're
yes.
still getting a bit of interference. So I don't know if you have a different headset you could try, but there's just like a background noise when you speak.
I can remove my headset and try to use the computer mic, see if that helps.
Sure, let's give it a try.
How does it sound now?
Oh, I still hear kind of a buzzing sound when you talk. Try again.
No? Better? No?
Seems better, but I may stop you again. Let's give it a go.
Okay. Yeah, if it gets too bad, I'm just unplugging everything that I have, mouse, keyboard, anything that can help.
Right. I mean, the other option is you can dial in and speak that way as opposed to using the computer audio.
Let me do that. Let me do that really quick. Let me dial in, and that way it may be more clear.
Thank you. That would be great.
All right.
And while he's doing that, I'm going to answer some of the open questions. So will the presentations be available for viewing later? Yes, they will. So we always provide the presentations after the sessions conclude. So look for those sometime next week. You'll get an email with that information as a follow-up.
Hey, Heather, and also I want to say a couple of things as well, that as we're looking at this presentation moving from BI 4.2 to 4.3, this is something, and I wrote a blog about this recently, that most customers will be doing in the next 12 months. And there's a main reason for that is that the last service pack of BI 4.2 has now been released, SP9. And that is due to be fully supported through to December 31st of 2022, after which it will go into what's called Priority 1 support, which means it will still be fully supported for another 2 years, but they won't make any further patches, enhancements to it, changes to it, and so forth. And so based on past experience, most customers will want to be at 4.3 prior to the end of 2022. And the next major service pack of 4.3, SP02, will be released in December of this year, which will probably be the more popular one, since it's got a lot of extra pieces in it that are still not quite complete in SP1. And so I envisage most customers making the move to 4.3 in the first quarter of 2022, second quarter of 2022. So now is the time to start understanding, looking at what's coming in 4.3 and preparing for it. As Minith is already showing you, from an administration standpoint, it's not too much of a major change at all. But for Webby developers, with the new user interface, it is quite a dramatic change. And so anybody who develops Webby reports will need some time to get used to the new UI. And so now is the time to start preparing for that. Hey,
Heather.
back.
Sorry, I was not able to dial in. It says the meeting ID does not exist. So.
Oh, we have other people dialed in. That's strange.
I know. I tried
Okay, but your voice sounds better now, so I don't know what you changed.
I'm hugging the computer right now. No, I'm
You're hugging it. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Let's continue on and we'll see what happens. Thanks, Minith. And while you're here, You do have a couple questions if you want to grab those before you jump right back in. So the first one is, does the Fiori Launchpad have a view option for displaying reports in folders and lists, or is it all tile-based?
No, it does have a folder based view, basically. And it won't take much time. I'm already there. I can show it to you, basically. That would be more helpful to see. So when you log in, you'll see a bunch of tiles. Yes, that's fine. You know, it shows you a lot of tiles. But if you click on folders, you know, these are folders, basically. These are personal folders on the left. These are public folders, basically. So, you know, you can either browse them on the left or right. Same thing as you did last time. It's just the icons and the UI is a little different. Other than that, browsing folders and getting to your reports is still the same. Like, you know, your left-hand side is still the same, basically. You know, you'll see your folders and stuff like that. So hope that answers that question.
I believe it does. Thank you.
Cool. Right. Sorry about the technical issues we've been having with the sound on my end. But yeah, continuing on to this, you know, so we'll see hands-on, you know, what is different. I'll run through a few slides and then we'll just jump into CMC and see a bunch of stuff, you know, how it looks and stuff like that. But yes, you know, you can expect CMC to stay the same. I don't think they have said anything that is going to be new from interface perspective for CMC. So things will be similar. All right, so what is different? After installation, you may notice that, you know, on the right side, you see 4.2, your automation framework, messaging queue broker. These two services or servers were provided to you for automation framework. You know, it is that utility that they're providing to change the underlying universes for Webby reports. You can do mass level changes of licenses, create users, delete users. So there was a separate architecture and mechanism on how this was set up behind the scene. That has been completely been revamped behind the scene. Again, you know, you will not know anything about this. These are all behind the scene, but all that is to say is they've been consolidated into one service, and we'll see, you know, how it looks like in CMC, because they had a separate link before for using the automation framework tool. Now it's all embedded in the CMC. So that's the SIA, basically, you know, in CMC. So on the left, I have 4.3. On the right, I have 4.2. You will see you won't be able to see authorized HTML elements anymore. Nothing is deprecated from feature perspective. So just keep that in mind. If you don't see an icon that you saw in 4.2, doesn't mean that feature is gone. They have just reorganized it, basically. So no features in CMC have been deprecated. The only thing they have done is they have added something new, basically. The only new thing that they have added is data source reference. This is a new means of security for connection authentication. This can be used for your IDT-based universes, basically. So this is something new that they have provided. Again, this is part of Webby setup, you know, that you need to do if you want to use this source of this type of security, kind of like user attribute management, where you could use Windows AD authentication or SAP authentication for security in your universe. This is now security of your connection with another layer of authentication. So everything you see here has been revised. Big change on servers. You know, since a lot of things are gone, you won't be seeing a bunch of things like, you know, you won't see Excelsior servers. You know, no more dashboard processing servers. 32-bit processing is completely eliminated. Basically, everything is 64-bit now in 4.3. So connection server 32 is gone. What does that mean? It means if you're using client tools and you used any 32-bit drivers for those, now you need to use 64-bit. So, you know, just a note that we can take for these changes that we can expect with the new version. And you can see, once these are the default servers that you will get after you complete the installation, Very clean, very refined. You know, everything, all the behind the scenes services are packed in your APS server, which, you know, the best practice is to always split it. But, you know, very precise servers and services that we can see after installation.
Rajesh, a question, or sorry, Manis. Oh my goodness, I'm still 2 hours behind. Question relating to what you're speaking about is what happens to the old 32-bit services on each 4.2 node when you perform the upgrade in place? Do they get upgraded in place to new 64-bit, or sorry, this is a couple questions in one, or does 4.3 install generate net new services?
Right, so whatever needs to be deprecated will be gone. Basically, you won't be able to see it. So the best example I can give you is 4.2 SP9 is already following 4.3's footsteps. Since Flash is no longer available, all the dashboard related services are gone. Basically, you won't see those. So when you do an in-place upgrade, you know, your connection server 32 will be gone, basically. Because right now you have two connection servers, the regular one, which you can see, and then there will be another one that says connection server 32. So basically that will be gone in 4.3, since the application only uses the regular 64-bit connection.
Okay, there's a couple follow-up questions coming in for that as well. Does it actually delete the PID records, for example?
Good question. I have not checked in the CMC to see if it physically deletes a record. I would expect it would do it because, you know, it's going to get rid of that entire functionality in the package. So even in the install folders, wherever these services are saved as packages, those are gone. So I'm assuming those PID entries will be gone as well.
Okay, thank you. And we have a couple of questions about kind of things in the front end as well. So how about if I hold those and let you get through kind of what's happening in the back end, and then if we have time at the end, we can jump on those live. Otherwise, we can get those answers afterwards. Sound good?
Okay, whenever you want to ask, I'm always ready. Right, so
okay.
right, so automation framework, again, you know, I talked about it. That's the biggest visual thing that you will see from services perspective. You know, currently, if you have 4.5, 4.2 SP5 above, you most likely have automation framework. And there is a separate URL that they provided, right? BOE, BI admin console. That is gone, right? They've deprecated that URL. Everything related to automation framework is in the CMC. So a couple more slides, we'll jump onto CMC. I'll show it to you because I need to show this as well. They have consolidated these 3 least used features and put them into something called BI Admin Studio. And BI Administrator's Cockpit, visual difference, monitoring. I don't think a lot of us have been using those that, you know, frequently, that heavily. So what they have done is they've consolidated those. You know, nothing is deprecated. And you know, if you used no more Derby databases for monitoring, you have to provide a physical database path, basically in configuration. And another thing related to version management is if you used ClearCase, that is no longer supported. So you will have to move everything from ClearCase to Git. So that is the only change from administration perspective are these 2 settings. You know, database connectivity to your monitoring database, no longer Derby database. You either use audit database or a supported database, you know, no more local files. And version management, no longer ClearCase. They have Git. Mostly people used out-of-the-box default subversion. So if you used out-of-the-box default subversion, you are still fine. You know, no issues there. So let's go.
And while you're doing that, you have a question, will BI auditing still be handled the same way?
Absolutely, it's still the same. No changes to that. still the same. The way you install it, the way you set it up, the way it looks, no changes. Everything is the same. Perspective.
Thank you. A little bit of trouble with your audio, but I heard you say no changes, it stays the same. So I'm just going to reiterate that.
Correct. So from CMC's perspective, there's no changes, to anything that you know of existing features. No changes, at least from these icons that we see. Only thing, they have added this new data source reference, and they've consolidated few features into this BI Admin Studio. So, in BI Admin Studio, now you'll see BI Admin Cockpit. You'll see everything related to monitoring, and you'll see visual difference and HTML elements, basically. So, it's all there. Nothing is gone. If you are using HTML elements to leverage different attributes of HTML that can or cannot be used in Webby, those settings don't go away. It's just reorganized into this BI Admin Studio. And the thing that we talked about a little bit more was the workflow system, which is nothing but the automation framework. So instead of having a separate URL, it's all in the CMC. No need to do any other additional special stuff. You can use this workflow assistant to basically change Webby documents. You can select a document, select the universes that you want to swap it with, run that, and you can do mass level universe changes. You can do a lot of things. Basically, you can change user license type. The best one that I like is you can change document owners. So if someone is no longer with the organization, or you want to make sure nothing is deleted for whatever that person created, you can change ownership of documents to somebody else. That way, schedules keep running, nothing happens to those objects. A lot of good stuff. The new 4.3, from CMC perspective, everything is there, just reorganized.
All right. So little trouble hearing you in that last part, but that's all right. We do have a couple other questions that came in. So if you want to give your computer another hug and try to answer these, that would be awesome. So these are kind of front end questions. And the first one is, are there any new options with publications?
Any new options with publications? No, I don't think so. When they released the base version of 4.3, they did not even have publications, but in the new version, they recoded it. So I don't think there's anything brand new related to publication.
Okay, thank you. You probably just gave everyone a small heart attack when you said it wasn't there, but I'm glad you said they recoded it. And then one more question is, one issue that this person has faced sporadically is the platform search becomes corrupt and needs to be rebuilt. Is it any different in 4.3?
I mean, they say they have done some revision on that, but I don't know. I mean, not many people use 4.3, so I haven't come across many pain points yet related to search in 4.3. So no, I don't know if they have done any major improvement. But yes, we have seen lately, like, if you're using search and you have a lot of objects, for some reason it gets corrupted, and then you have to manually take steps to ensure search works again. And that has become painful for a lot of customers. But have they done anything in 4.3 that I know of? No.
Okay. And then one more, anything changing with the multi-tenancy in 4.3?
No, actually, I have not heard anything related to multi-tenancy at all. And so everything should be the same, basically in 4.3. I don't think I've read anything about any enhancements or anything like that.
All right. Well, thank you, Manis. Great content and more to come. And, if anyone else wants to learn even more, Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Give me one more minute. I just want to talk.
Oh, absolutely. I thought you were done.
I almost forgot about this since we're just talking about.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we did get requests from a few people to say, to share a bit information about, what do we need to do with InfoBurst, with the latest version 4.3, how will it work? Well, we have a very good article on it, basically on our website. The slides have it. It's going to explain you basically, the process of migrating to the latest build, which is 64-bit version, what is deprecated, how to perform an in-place migration, what to watch out for, how does it work with crystal reports and everything. So all that good information is there. But testing is the key for InfoBurst, especially with 4.3. And there are a bunch of steps. Before, it was easy, right? You just run the installer, you're done. But now there are some post-install steps involved with InfoBurst that you need to be aware of. So do keep that in mind. Whenever you do upgrade your BO 4.3 and you want to do an upgrade of InfoBurst to 64-bit version, just keep this slide in mind and just refer to these two articles.